Hello and welcome. And today the topic is about crying wolf. Hoax calls made to the police, fire and ambulance services. Now apparently, the services are reporting that we made 2.340 million, 2,340,000 prank calls to the services. This is calls they received, which literally there was no alarm at the end of it. Literally crying wolf. Now I think this is very, very alarming and calls for serious education between you and I, because here I am on one end constantly bashing fire and the police. You did not respond quick enough. You were lazy. You were not concerned. How do they differentiate out of these 2 million calls? Which one of it is really a call and which one is not? Because one day you see yours and my mum will be in an alley somewhere and she's really being attacked. And maybe a little girl might see and pick up a phone and say, oh, I see a little old lady being attacked. Can you help? And they are going to say, oh, it's a prank call. Then it comes up in the newspapers in the morning, and then I jump on the Super Morning Show and lambast them. Am I even justified? If indeed one person made, if each person makes 2 calls, that's 1 million of us out there doing nothing but just making prank calls to the services. So today I have with me Billy Anaglate, who's the PRO for Fire Service, and Freeman Tete, PRO for Ghana Police, to educate us. And I even want to find out, how do they differentiate between which one is real and which one is fake? My name is Nana Sakwa, and this is PM Express. Well, hello, and the topic is crying wolf. And I'm sure most of you know the story about the little boy who cried wolf. He was always shouting in the little corner, wolf, wolf, wolf. The whole village will run down and he just laugh at them. I was only joking. And then one day he goes down the alley and he sees a wolf. So he cries wolf and the whole village says, oh, that's little kid. He's only having fun. He'll be all right. But no, indeed, the wolf was actually there. So 2.3 million of us pick up our mobile phones and call the ambulance, fire and police and say, there's a fire here, somebody's being murdered, or I want to marry you, I want to go to bed with you. And I'm asking, 2.3 million is such a big number. How do you differentiate, or how do you decipher, know that, oh, that might be a real call, let's respond to it, or just hang up, it's one of those jokes? This is a really serious thing, and I have these gallant men in the studio to educate us on the dangers looming round the corner. To my extreme left is Billy Anaglate, who's the Fire Service PRO. Billy, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for honoring our request on a short notice to help us educate ourselves. And then to my immediate left, my own brother, Freeman Tete, PRO for Ghana Police Service. Freeman, you're welcome.
Thank you. I don't know whether to wish you Happy New Year or I should wait.
Oh, to wait till the 5th of January, you
that
see?
Is it.
Okay, we'll explain that later. But Freeman, I'll start with you. I even feel guilty because, sometimes I've been very hard on the police. And
I think it's constructive, so we don't have any problem.
Yeah, but so how then do you pick up a call today, right? Let's say a little girl calls. She's very tiny and says, oh, I see a robber jumping into my next door neighbor's house and there's only an old lady that lives in that house. How then do you know that it's a real call or it's one of a prank call?
We have to move on it because we wouldn't know how serious it is, depending on the language and the content of the information. But if a little girl says, criminals are attacking her, you have to move as a professional institution, a service provider. You have no choice. I'm immediately moving on. It's only when we get there that it dawned on us that it's a prank call. And that is how worrying the situation is, how frustrating it is. And it's also tasking. Because you have to mobilize resources and go. You don't go and assess the situation before you come back. You have to move as a team.
To go and solve the issue.
With state resources, state fuel, state vehicle, time and energy, and go there. You only go there and realize that it's a prank call. Sometimes even diverting attention. So that is the difficulty we are. It's actually a problem for us, not only the police, but the fire service and all the agencies that are short code emergency lines. just talk to the ambulance service. They also have a similar story to tell you. So it's a problem, actually.
You see, it doesn't matter how advanced a country is, every now and then you get the odd hoax call. It's just the number is what, 2.3 million calls within a year, and so it's about 5,000 calls within a day. Are you not, over exaggerating the number?
There's evidence. Just get to our information room. Within 2 hours, you are likely to get 200 prank calls. There is evidence. So we are not manufacturing this. It's a fact. Your cameras can go there. You can pick the sound, and you'll be amazed. Sometimes we may be understating the problem. It's bigger than what we are even telling the public. So it's quite worrying. It's a serious issue that we should not let it go without talking about. Some of us have found the need to talk about it. Fortunately, Graphic brought it on its front page, and it's actually giving us the public a bigger picture and how serious it is. So I think it has set an agenda for discussion. And most of the callers happen to be children. Mm-hmm. People who are supposed to be in class will find time. We don't know whether they even make those calls as they are supposed to be studying or in a classroom. So these are things that we have to take serious. The teachers, the educational authorities, the church groups and the Muslim community have a bigger responsibility to make sure that they educate these children and also chastise them.
I think we'll come. I'll come to it, but that's going to let viewers know that the show is recorded 2nd January 2014, and this story was on the front page of the Daily Graphic on the 2nd of January 2014. I'm going to go to Billy because, Billy, even with the best of times, if I called for a fire and you turned up, with your tank load and everything, you have, really 4 or 5 minutes to act before everything, goes bad. So there you are, you respond to the fire and it's a hoax, but then there's a real fire somewhere. So then what happens?
Well, that is what people need to understand. There is something we call a golden hour. Golden hour is when the fire starts, and then the call is routed to fire service as early as possible. Then the fire service is deployed to the scene and they get in there. It takes only 4 minutes for fire to be started within a premises. If you are not able to control that fire, the next 1 minute, you might have gotten means of fire spread already in there. So that 1 minute will enable the fire to engulf the whole premises in which the fire has started.
Just 1 minute?
Yes. So if you have destroyed this golden hour by holding on to this number, then somebody is assessing it to call the fire service for us to get into the scene. Then you have delay our deployment into the scene. Definitely, before we get there, situation that would have been a minor situation would definitely turn out to be a major situation. Many a times it happens this way that even personnel of the fire service get to the scene and they attack. They vandalize the vehicle, they attack the personnel just because they claim that they were calling and then the number was not being assessed, thinking the personnel themselves probably might be using the phone on their own, communicating or something. So situation where people engage in some of these numbers is a worrying situation. Because of that, we as supervisors also want to ensure that we monitor people in the control room. So because in a human society, situation that goes in every minute, every second somebody calls in, then people might be tempted, like you were saying, to say that, oh, these calls might be coming from children, because at times it comes continuously. So you need to ensure that you continue to pick all those calls. Then you are there every minute, you are picking a call, every minute you are picking. So at times, if the call comes, you can't differentiate, so you have to dispatch a tender. So when the tender is going, because some of those phones that we have, they are addressable, we pick the number and we begin to call back. Well, if it's a genuine, the person receive it and talk to you. If it's not a genuine at times, then they turn it off. When they realize you are trying to talk to them, they turn it off. Some you call. So already we have dispatched somebody to the scene. You have, taken a tender from one community to another community because it was not even a real situation. So where you have taken the tender from, and the situation even happens in there, genuinely somebody even need to use the tender within that community. So it's a situation that we keep looking at it from different perspectives, and it is something that all of us must be able to look at seriously.
Is it ignorance, selfish, or sheer illiteracy? What is it that makes us adapt to this attitude? As soon as I come back, that's what I want to find out, because it blows my mind. We are talking about crying wolf and hoax calls that we make to the services or personnel that support us with security service, ambulance, and fire. 2.3 million calls in a year. It sounds almost ridiculous. I mean, how it is done. But I just wanted to find out if it's just because we are illiterate, if it's just because we are ignorant, or just selfishness. Well, my house is not on fire, so I'll call them, engage the line. It's your house that's been. I don't know if they've profiled us to find out where we fit in. I'll start with Billy. I mean, where do we fall in? Is it just illiteracy, ignorance, or are we just too selfish?
Well, but I think that we are just being ignorant of the implications of using the emergency number the way we try to abuse it. If really people should understand the purpose for even making the emergency number a toll-free, that even if you don't have any accounts on your desk, you can use it, then I think we will appreciate the essence of these emergency numbers. The other aspect that I'm looking at is that we as parents at times do not even try to monitor our children on some of these issues, that we allow our children to be playing with certain gadgets that they are not supposed to play with. So they pick it and they begin to make calls. Surprisingly, there are times that their parents leave and sit by them, yet they do those things. Because I have recalled those numbers, on few occasions, and then just after the child finished talking and then we pick it, you call, the mother picks it. And you say you left the phone with your child, and she begins to beg that always the child is picking it. So if really we should know that when we engage some of those issues, the implication, it could be your house, it could be your brothers who want to access it. Yes, you are holding on to that. So it is purely, I should say, that ignorance, that people do not know the implications. So they allow some of these things to go.
Freeman, I mean, maybe my anxiety or my shock is that as far as safety is concerned, robbery, mugging, armed robbery and stuff is concerned, you didn't think that you didn't have to educate somebody to know the essence of your security or your safety, and that, look, let's keep this number sacred and use it, as the ninth.
We've done a lot of education, but I will attribute this to indiscipline and just to create fun. Some of them, you realize that they just want to create fun sometimes too. And you'll be surprised that some people are actually criminals who try to divert the attention of the police. So it's not limited to only children. Mm-hmm. There are adults who are involved, some reckless adults who call the police and other service providers and make us manner of fans. And then criminals as well. So that one, we should not take that away from them. Mm-hmm. They are also cashing into that. But we'll come out soon and start tracking some of these people. And we promise that we'll prosecute a few that we'll get to serve as a deterrent. At least in this era, we are blessed. We have the benefit of technology, so we'll do our best to get a few of them, take them on. Then I believe this will end it all. We cannot be overrun by these few people. Even if you're a child, then if you cannot be prosecuted, your parents will bear that responsibility. There's a vicarious liability somewhere. So we will come out soon.
In your education, I mean, I know when you go to kindergarten and nursery and you sing in red means stop and green means go and orange means get ready to stop. So it's drummed into your head, and then when you grow, you see this light, and then I remember, Mrs. Hamilton telling me to stop, so you stop. Are we drumming into the children that, listen, this is your sacred number, and after you have called on God, this is the next number you call on, so don't mess about with it? Are we teaching children to obey these things?
I think children are learning a lot. Unfortunately, some of them are not imbibing it. Else, we didn't have adults who are indisciplined, adults who are criminal, because we all started from that. A child who end up to become a bad citizen, you can obviously see it right from the beginning. So it's unfortunate. So the churches, the mosques, all of us have a responsibility to ensure that the right thing is done. Especially parents, we have to live up to our responsibility. And don't forget that some of the children don't have parents. They are just there. They are brought, they will have biological parents, but parents to shepherd them are not there. So these are the challenges. Some of them could be seen going to school, but are they taking what is being taught? So sometimes we tend to blame the teachers, but some of them sit in a class, their mind is somewhere. They are even entering the classroom, mobile phone.
I agree with you, but when you get to 2.3 million, you go past that. If one or two slip through the net,
understand.
I can understand.
They will have a responsibility.
These numbers are...
Yes, we have a responsibility.
It's more than the people in Equatorial Guinea.
We have to set up. Yes. Even anyway, one person can make 2 or 3 calls a day.
So I'm saying, let's say assume 1 million people of us, just 1 million. It's still...
It's worrying.
Worrying.
Yes, actually, it's worrying. So we have to set up. What is important is this thing cannot stop until we act. We start acting. We will advise that parents, teachers, others have a responsibility. But what Ghanaians now believe in, being dragged before the law. So when we start dragging people before the law, I think it will serve as a lesson. So we'll start monitoring a few of them, we'll pick a few isolated ones and start descending heavily on them. I think people will understand that you don't joke with state resources, you don't joke with state institutions that have the mandate to protect life and property.
You see, I called 1-855 because I saw a young man sort of collapsed at my junction. So I come and there were people there and I was forced to stop, and they said they found him there, collapsed, and so I called, and the lady asked me, I gave the directions. Luckily, the guy sort of came, I went home, brought him some clothes and everything, but I'm yet to receive my call back from them. And I got very angry, but, reading this, they probably thought, well, it's another hoax call, even though I spoke quite clearly, and I don't think I made a mock out of it, but nobody called me back, but I guess... probably the line was engaged or... Well,
sometimes they can act on it without getting back to you because they are overwhelmed, of course. So these are the difficulties, the challenges that they also go through. There are many calls that come on a minutes basis. So if they don't get back to you, we wish they could be getting back to you. Sometimes if they want clearer direction, they'll call back. They'll ask you to leave your number. But if they don't call once it has been achieved, maybe you just try and help them by also calling back and see whether it has been attended.
See, the probably think it's a host call because by the time they come, the guy would have even gone because the guy sort of came alive. I went home, got him some clothes. And
well, if you have a clear mind, no problem. So we are designing people. We are not people who cannot think. So we can decipher between a hoax call and call. But sometimes, as my brother said, there's a golden hour or a golden minute or so, as you put it. So we have to quickly act on it before it can dawn on us. But some, we look at it, we study the content. But it's actually a waste of time, actually. And it also blocks people from making genuine calls or having their genuine calls through. So these are the difficulties. They actually hold the lines to hostage.
I was watching a news item and, one of the calls that came in, the guy says, I want to marry you.
That one is even mild. Some make sexually suggestive statements, profane statements are made. I want to go to bed with you.
Wow.
I'm on heat. Quite embarrassing.
As in the emergency number.
Or someone is raping me. I'm having sex with my partner.
I see.
Yes.
On the emergency line?
On the emergency line. Can you come and protect me? I'm having sex with my partner.
I don't know whether I'm supposed to laugh or not, but I'm going to shift, and I'll stay with Freeman. Freeman, one thing that I've keep, going on and on and on is sometimes I find it hard to tell when a police vehicle is in an emergency or if they just have the blue flashing lights to show their nice shiny cars. I can't tell the difference because it's constantly on. And you are the red light. So you see it coming from the back and you're thinking, maybe I need to move. And then the driver just comes and also stops at the red light, oblivious to the fact that he's got his emergency lights on. And I don't know. So when is it going to be an emergency? And what so that we put the information out there to the public? Because I can't tell when is an emergency and when is not.
Emergency can be any time for the police. But at the end of the day, the system has also kept on checking and also educating police drivers. And let me put it this way, warning them to treat emergencies as an emergency and non-emergency as a non-emergency. So that's why we are all supposed to be in the queue. But when it's emergency, that one we should all understand that we are going to protect life and property. So if they get them, we have a team that is, we call it inspection unit. That has a mandate, and PIPS also has a mandate to be picking some of these numbers. So police drivers are sanctioned for that. So the system is taking care of them. Unfortunately, most often it happens at the blind side. So all of you has a responsibility as well to ensure that you pick out some of these numbers for us.
I mean,
but
so
you will not know whether
should the lights be off if it's not an emergency?
Well, for the visibility team, once they are positioned, they have to be visible, so the light should be on. They are stationary.
They are stationary.
But for those moving, if you're in a queue and the light is on, I think it makes the police more visible. So that if you're even in traffic in the night, the light must be on. But we are not saying that they should use the opposite direction or they should create panic or whatever. You should use the siren when it's not emergency. But at the end, if they're in traffic and the light is on, no problem. At least people will know that there's a police car in the queue to deter criminals. You know, these young guys, some of them, they even break doors or glasses of vehicles and pick whatever. But so if you see a police siren, sorry, not a siren, but
the light.
The light, at least it will deter you from breaking someone's destiny in traffic. But we are talking about using the siren to distract or to create panic or create traffic situation. So that is what the system. But sometimes it's difficult to tell. It's just like the devil and the deep blue sea. You may not know whether that police car is emergency, is running on emergency or a distress call. So that's the difficulty we face.
Because what I find
but it's a matter of proper briefing by the commander. So we are on it.
Freeman, what I find out that when it's an emergency, drivers are not that much in a hurry to clear the way for the car to go. I see some taxi drivers even trying to insist that it's their right of way, even though the guy is pinning in, trying to come. I think because we've gotten so used to it, we don't panic anymore. Whereas in other jurisdictions, as soon as you see that blue light, even if you're dying, you stop dying for the car to go and then continue dying after. But now, it's like, well,
then I think we also have a responsibility to give drivers that confidence that it's emergency, non-emergency is non-emergency.
I think so.
So we have a responsibility. We will accept that and work within to help ourselves. Because we are talking about public-police relationship, public-police partnership. So we will not accept that, look, we are right all the time. When we are wrong, we have to make sure that sometimes some of us in traffic even get upset sometimes, but at the end of the day, you can't tell whether that person is on emergency. So we'll do our best. We have a responsibility as supervisors, as spokesperson, to tell our seniors on the field who have direct control over them to do a lot, to let people, the drivers, know the implication. I think we have to accept that challenge this year. But sometimes let's be fair to them as well. You will not be in a position to tell whether, because the person need not tell you that it's emergency.
Let me go to Billy. Billy, you see, with your fire statistics that is out, so about 550 reported daily fire. Now,
1,500. You mean the calls?
Yeah, no. Fires reported.
Okay,
fire.
Exactly.
550 monthly.
Yes.
Monthly, 550 monthly. Now, how many could you have saved? Have you worked out with regards to the calls that if these calls have been coming, we could have saved 60% or 70%? So people to realize that, listen, we are actually, causing our own doom.
Well, actually, we will not be able to pick statistics on at the time that somebody is abusing it and a genuine call is coming. What it has, because apart from people, finding it difficult to access the 192 number because somebody has already engaged it, there are times that people also delay in calling the fire service when there is fire outbreak within their premises. They try as much as possible to see if they will be able to handle it. All these one also contribute to some of the distractions that are caused to some of the properties that could be saved. So we will not be able to pick out of those that were directly involved out of the abuse of the 192. So we do not have that statistics. But what we also try to do to solve the problem, since we have the challenges, is that as soon as somebody calls and then you realize it's that thing could be a genuine one or no, you can't determine. Quickly, you have to dispatch a tender before you begin to be calling and be finding out. Then the tender moves to whichever direction that is given. The only difficulty is that there are times you get to the area because the person wanted to divert an attention. The vehicle get to the area, maybe probably also in search of the address and could not even find the address. So we always try to be alert just to dispatch the tender. If you think that you can't differentiate whether it is a genuine or somebody is trying to just to make a call, so we quickly have to dispatch our men to the scene.
Well, I don't know if there's a statistics like that. You know, like the UN have, I think, 500 citizens to one policeman. Is that the?
Yes.
But yeah, with fire tenders, do we have like maybe every 1,000 households should have one tender? Do we have a statistic?
Yes, we have the statistics, but unfortunately, I don't want to lie here. But we have the statistics. I've just forgotten the comparison.
Ideally, you know, how many are we short? Or average?
Oh yes, you know, it's alarming. So really, because there are a lot of communities without even a fire station. If you look at even, let me pick Osei for instance. If you look at Osei, we don't need one fire station in there.
There's none.
We don't need to have one fire station,
Okay.
but we have only one fire station at Osei.
Okay.
The
whole of Osei.
Yes, we need more fire stations, at least about 4 fire stations at Osei. We are talking about proximity as to where the emergency is, and I just gave you about 4 minutes when the fire occurs and you are not able to handle it. But
so you should basically position yourself 4 minutes out of every sort of...
Not necessarily 4 minutes, but if you have about 4 fire stations in Osei, for instance, you position them in a way that even if you are not able to get there within the 4 minutes, at least you'll be able to, your deployment should, assist you to get there in a good time to be able to ensure that. Here, if you look at Adabraka, for instance, we don't have a fire station. But apart from the 8 fire stations that we have in the Greater Accra alone, we have been able to earmark about 13 other areas where we wanted to open fire stations. But
so the whole of Accra has got 8?
Yes.
Okay.
8.
And it must be like the most, because Accra being the capital.
Yes, exactly like you are saying. So even Accra, we have earmarked 13 places where we have been fighting to have fire station in. But whoever should even release a space or an area that we will be able to manage and have a station.
Because we haven't done it in the planning.
It's another problem. So if there is fire within this area now, we have to dispatch. The closest is our headquarters. So if at that time our headquarters is also attending to emergency somewhere, then maybe probably they will be the industrial area. We have one at industrial area. So you look at the situation in this. We are looking at Awoshi. We do not have anything there. You are talking of Kaneshi area. Those other areas have not been covered.
How about Kaswa?
Yes, we have a Budumburam. We have a fire station.
So that has to serve the whole of Kaswa.
Yes, exactly. We are even looking for a place around Kaswa itself where we would definitely have a fire station there. That is what we are doing. So the situation is such that we need to have a lot of fire stations where we will even have certain fire posts where it could be manned by a minor, fire appliances like RIV, intervention vehicles that in case of the emergency, we should be able to get there in a good time. But because we are lacking some of this, and what we are doing is to ensure that in premises such as yours, we advise that you select people within the premises that are working to be trained into fire wardens. What this means is that they will have the basic knowledge in trying to identify hazards within the premises as they are working day in, day out. They also have the knowledge to use the basic firefighting facilities like the extinguishers, probably the hose rails in there, so that when the emergency happens, they will be the first line of attack to ensure that since the fire will be small, they will be able to even reduce it. So that although the fire service is not everywhere, at least when we train people within those areas, then they will be able to ensure. We have also gone ahead to ensure that in areas they should have association, these residential association, they should also have a committee, fire safety committee within those areas that we will liaise with them so frequently to train the people within those communities as well, to also be able to identify and to have the means of trying to get in touch with the fire service in case of any emergency, and be able to give a proper address to the fire service so that in case of any eventuality. So in that community, we will have assessment, fire audit assessment within the community to determine what safety measures that need to be put in place. If it is going to be the source of water, maybe hydrants, overhead tank, underground tank, so that in case of any emergency, we will be able to get there and use those things. Or also ensure that all the security people, there are certain communities that they have security men all around. We train those people as well into fire safety, so that in case of emergency, at times the people even need to be evacuated. They need external assistance. So we give all these skilled and training to the people that they will also be able to do few other things that they can do on before even the fire service gets to the
So this is all, what I was trying to lead to is that even if every call that came was legit, this is how much you are struggling.
Exactly.
Without the nuisance, this is how much struggle that there is. So, Freeman, you see, the reason why I say that is if you go into Adumasa, where I come from, the last fire service is at Akosombo. Then you go past Marine before you go past, Jekiti. There's no fire service in those areas. And so in the best of time, with no hoax calls, you are in trouble.
Yes, and again, with those areas that we are talking about, what we have also been doing is to train fire volunteers in those communities. Mm-hmm. We train these fire volunteers and we equip them. First of all, they also serve as fire safety educators, and then they are also there to assist people in case of any emergency like firefighting. They fight it. Many attempts when bushfires, like this season that we are in, we make sure that anybody who even want to burn the farm or anything, they are the people that are contacted, and they are able to even give them the safety measures to create fire bursts around that. This is what we have been doing, and we realize that we need to roll in the chiefs and opinion leaders so that people will respect those people in the community so much. So the fire volunteers are especially in those communities that we think that you need to drive about 20-30 minutes before you get into.
Well, I'm inviting you to my village then, because you haven't come. I don't know who is my fire safety in the area. I have a lot of bushfires around there. But when I come back, I want to find out from Freeman also in terms of community watch, because I think with how we go, we probably need to be more of each other's keepers rather than just rely on the police to come. And how are we doing that? Stay tuned. Well, hello, and the issue on the table is crying wolf, the amount of hoax calls that we make in a year, 2.3 million. I cannot conceive that no matter how much I try. But Billy's explained to us how they train people within communities to at least start some healthy and safety methods in which to tackle the fire before they arrive. Ideally, they would have loved to have fire stations everywhere so they could respond, but in order to sort of counter that, they train some able-bodied men so that they can start handling the fire before your main professionals arrive, and then the damage would be reduced. And that's all things being perfect without the hoax calls. Now, I just want to find out, with regards to maybe community policing or community watch, so that maybe if somebody called and said, oh, I am in Anabraka by the merchant bank and this is being happening, maybe the police can even have a community watch number there to call and say, look, go there and see if there's anything happening before we move troops from headquarters and come. I mean, is there something like that, or how are we handling this?
I think we are somehow lucky because we have police presence in all the corners of this country. So our number is quite greater than that of our sister security agent, the fire service. So at least there's a police presence everywhere. But at the end of the day, we want people to do directly the police because, we deal with weapons and other things. For robbery, you can't just risk the life of the community police, the neighborhood watch. We only try to encourage people to be each other's neighbor. we advise them to patrol just to give us information, be abreast with security issues, to form a neighborhood watch that at the end of the day, you will be vigilant and alert the police in case of when the need arises. So that is policing become a shared responsibility, so that when your neighbor is outside or is out of town, out of the house, you being a committee or neighborhood watch committee member, you can easily confront someone who is knocking at your neighbor's door trying to do something funny, and then arrest the person and hand over the person to the police. So that is what the concept is all about. Getting closer to the police, having some kind of personal relationship with the police, and also getting education.
So will there be some in my area? Even though I don't want to say the area.
Yes, you have to form it and come to the police. You group yourself, inform the police, get input from the police. So that is how the concept is. We'll train you, even provide you whistle and other things, so that in the night you can also be moving about. You are not supposed to use weapon though, but at the end of the day, you also have the responsibility of educating the public or those around your neighborhood on crime prevention techniques. So it's important.
I think I need to take it up. So what do? Just go from house to house and say, look, put your name down and your number.
If you cannot offer yourself, you can offer your money. You can provide money to sustain the neighborhood watch. Because there are young, energetic men around who can afford to patrol in the evening, so that when they confront someone doing something untoward, they can easily hand over the person to the police. But we don't advise them to confront people who are wielding weapons. What they can do is like immediately they suspect that something funny is going on in the house, there's gunshot, they can quickly alert the police about it, rather than exposing themselves to danger.
Do we then sort of regularize this individual or individuals to a particular station, so that you know that the call is coming from this person?
Where you live, there's a police station which is closer. But for the calls, we receive them at the regional and the national information rooms. So for the calls does not go. The national headquarters or the regional headquarters in turn relay the call to the various patrol teams or the the nearby police station, or even a snap check. They all have sets. All of us have that set, so we could hear that something is happening somewhere. Then quickly, if you have that responsibility, or if a patrol team is closer, that patrol team will quickly move in, then take care of the situation.
Okay, Freeman, let me put you on the spot. Now, my auntie got robbed, right? And so at 3 a.m. in the morning, she drives to East Legon police station. Now, East Legon police station tells her that they don't take reports. Now, her phone and everything had been stolen. The only reason why they left her that car is because the robbers said they can't drive a manual, so they took the automatic car. So at the middle of the night, she had no phone. But then the police says, no, you need to drive to another station because here we don't take complaints.
It's wrong. They are supposed to help the poor woman by relaying the information to the control.
Well, they didn't. I'm telling you in confidence, they didn't. It's
a misconduct on their part. So I believe we have to do our best to take them on. They are supposed to inform the nearest police station, they are supposed to relay the information to the information room, because there will be patrol teams around. So if they tell your auntie that it's not within their jurisdiction, I think they are not helping matters at all, because it's the same Ghana Police Service that they have a responsibility. Even if you are not in uniform and you perchance pass by as a policeman, you have a responsibility to assist. Every caller is a potential ally. So at every point in time, you have to waste your time. So even the police medical doctors have a responsibility.
Shame on you
as well.
And you have to set up. Now, Billy, I'm coming to you. If at this stage we haven't realized this basic safety, what can, like the media, or what can we do to trigger for people to realize that, hey, I was playing with fire and I need to stop?
We really need to change our attitude towards safety. Sincerely, when it comes to safety, people think that probably the fire will not even occur. Well, when we even send people to premises to educate them, at times they tell them, I have lived in this room for years, there have never been fire, so I don't think there would be any fire outbreak here. So we don't need you for fire. What is it? We all know what fire is. The way we have attached importance to security. We barricaded our doors and windows just because we are looking at that armed robber that will come. And that armed robber, you can negotiate, that he could take something and go. Forgetting that the biggest armed robber is the fire that lives in there that could take everything. Then we begin to look out for, because 90% of all those fires are preventable. It is because of the way we ourselves, we handle some of these gadgets and other things that it takes only two things for fire to start from electrical origin. Either fires that are involving actual electrical wiring system, or fires that involve portable electrical equipment that we are using. So if you are able to take few time on your own, get committed, cultivate the fire safety culture to ensure that you have few fire safety audits within your premises. Just examine your wiring system. Let us ensure that we know fire can occur there. Examine your wiring system. They are all there for you to look at. You look at your switches and sockets. If they are changing color from the whitish to the brownish, you will know that there is overheating that could cause that fire. Okay. They are all there for you to see. That is why those switches and sockets are not any other color apart from white, so that you see the overheating going in there. So if you have your switches and sockets changing color, meanwhile because they are overage, heat passing through a resistant will definitely produce heat. So if they are changing color, they are reducing their intensity to withhold the heat that is passing through. Definitely you will have fire. So we only have to change our attitude. Let us know that it is what we do that causes the fire. Today, we have said this several times, people should not even have gas cylinders in their kitchen. But if you get into people's home, gas cylinders are still in their kitchen. Some are even having it in their bedrooms. Meanwhile, if you have any amount of that gas coming out of that cylinder, it has an expansion rate of 250 times. So when 1 liter of that gas is out of the cylinder, you will have about 250 times. It's 1.5 times heavier than air, so it can travel and pick fire from somewhere. If in the night you get in there and it's like the whole room sent gas, it means there is a leakage. You just try switching on your light, the whole room will be ablaze because of the hissing noise in that switch that you are doing. So if all of us should know that whatever we are doing could either prevent the fire or could cause the fire to come, then we should be able to understand that we should be able to be responsible for either fire outbreaks in our home or preventing fire outbreaks. You get into people's premises now, you see candle. They light candle and put it on top of TVs, on top of tables, on carpets, on the floor. You know it's wax. It will definitely reduce and get to those TVs and other things. They are all combustible materials that when this thing gets into it, it will burn. So are we not aware that those things are activities that could cause fire to ourselves? But why are we not changing? Lack of commitment, lack of trying to ensure and see how we'll be able to prevent some of these issues.
Well, thank you very much. But just give me 30 seconds to give to Freeman. Freeman, what can we do to the average citizen just to realize that don't make that hoax call? Just 30 seconds.
Education, right from the church, the mosque, and the schools. The teachers have a bigger responsibility, and parents as well. Let's keep on talking to them. And adults who does those things, I believe the law will surely catch up with that. So let's all live up to expectation. State resources is being wasted. So, and then don't waste the time of the service provider. It's important.
So viewers, as for this one, we can't say it was the fault of the government. So this one, it is us. No. So we can't blame anybody but ourselves. I want to say thank you very much to Billy Anaglati, who is a PRO for a fire service, and Freeman Tete, PRO for Ghana Police Service, for coming to educate us on the importance and the dangers looming around the corner anytime we pick up our phone and make a hoax call to the service personnel. Thank you very much, and as I say, tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again.